At my direction, the United States military actively supported the defense of Israel. Make no mistake, the United States is fully supportive of Israel.
It's messages like those and the endless bombs that the United States is willing to fund on behalf of Israel that basically persuades Israel to continue escalating the war in the Middle East. And what's interesting is, while you hear Biden say over and over again that he wants a ceasefire, that he's working really hard for a ceasefire, fact of the matter is, behind the scenes, he's saying something entirely different, and that's according to some new reporting from Politico and the Washington Post. Now, these exposés in Politico and Washington Post make it clearer than ever how little the Israeli government has really given a crap about what the United States has to say about their escalations in the Middle East. Yet we keep sending them weapons and now our own troops to help them carry out this broader regional war. For months, Netanyahu and his government have consistently ignored American counsel as to how to prosecute the war in Gaza against Hamas after the October 7th terror attacks. Biden and his aides were repeatedly frustrated by Israel's widening war aims within Gaza, with a devastating impact on Palestinian civilians, even at the cost of a deal to free the remaining hostages. Now, Biden's weakness was pretty evident early on in this war when, for example, he took a half-hearted stand, basically demanding Israel allow aid into Gaza. And about a week after the Hamas attacks, Biden intended to visit Israel, Blinken said, but he was not getting on a plane unless we have humanitarian access opened up. Both sides dug in their heels. Bibi was saying, my politics here won't allow it, and get a load of this disgusting statement. They don't want a single aspirin to get into Gaza. The Israeli people want revenge, the official recalled.
At least for the first time behind closed doors, he was being honest. This has nothing to do with trying to get Hamas. Remember, for the first 9 months or so, they didn't get a single Hamas leader while they slaughtered 30, 40,000 Palestinians. Yep. It was about revenge. It's always been about revenge. And it's revenge for how dare you resist our 57-year occupation. You should know your role to be enslaved by us in open air camps. So we need revenge because you didn't know your role.
Let's move on to the best friend of war criminals. A wary-looking Anthony Blinken, that's of course the Secretary of State, emerged before dawn the next day to announce to waiting reporters that Biden was coming. Israel and the United States were working on a plan for humanitarian assistance, he said, but there was no announced agreement to immediately open the border.
In other words, we got nothing.
Yeah. By the way, I mean, Anthony Blinken is the guy who basically lied about the report, making it abundantly clear that Israel was blocking aid into Gaza. That's the kind of guy he is.
Because Anthony Blinken
is a war criminal.
And basically serves Israel instead of America.
100%, yep. Anyway, as the war went on and Biden sought long-term peace, allegedly, as the Washington Post claims, he was undermined at every turn by Netanyahu's conduct of the Gaza war. His refusal to consider establishment of a Palestinian state and the territorial ambitions of his right-wing government in the occupied territories, meaning they want to grab the land. Like, that's part of this agenda. It's not just about finding Hamas and bringing them to justice. It never was, okay? The October 7th attacks have been used as an excuse in order to carry out what the far-right members of the Israeli government have been wanting to do, which is to steal land, okay? To level entire capitals, an entire strip of land where the Palestinians are, the Gaza Strip. And then eventually, when it's uninhabitable, come and just take the land, take the land. They've been doing it illegally in the West Bank with impunity. So they're just gonna expand it. It's so disgusting, it's so disgusting.
Yeah, please listen to Ezra Klein's podcast with David Remnick, where they explain revisionist Zionism and how Netanyahu's dad wanted to take all the West Bank and Jordan. They think, why not? Their ideas, the Arabs and the Muslims have plenty of land. Let's just take as much as humanly possible. So the reason I mention that now is, one, you should know because the American media outside of Ezra Klein assiduously hides that fact from you. And they went to Israel. They're both Jewish Americans. They went to Israel. They support Israel, not what they're doing today, but as a concept, as a country, etc. And they realize, oh my God, the politics has totally changed. And so this is not, nobody's interested in a two-state solution in Israel. That's not even being discussed, not by even the most liberal politicians in Israel. The Palestinians have no chance of getting a state. The Israelis don't believe they have a right to exist, and they're trying to take as much of their land as possible. And so I say that to you right now because as you hear the rest of the story, understand that the biggest conflict is the US keeps saying, hey, you're not getting to peace. We want you to get to peace. But Netanyahu doesn't want to get to peace.
Exactly.
He wants to take more land. So it is an irreconcilable difference. And they're not even acknowledged that they have this. So Biden
not
keeps
publicly.
At least not publicly, right? And so Biden keeps saying like, I don't understand. This is not the path to peace. Yes, idiot. That's because they're not trying to get to peace. They're trying to get to more territorial conquest.
No, Cenk, he knows. Like, this is the whole reason why I want to do this story. Biden knows. Biden knows, okay? Biden isn't the benevolent leader who's been taken for a fool by Israel. He knows, he knows. Here's where it gets real damning, okay? These are excerpts from Politico's expose. As his influence over Netanyahu shrunk, Biden's anger grew. Phone calls between the two men were increasingly turned into shouting matches, according to one of the officials and one other senior official not authorized to discuss private conversations. Biden told confidants, listen closely guys, that he did not believe his Israeli counterpart wanted a ceasefire deal, arguing that Netanyahu was trying to perpetuate the conflict to save his political future and assist Trump in November's election, the officials said. Biden knows. So think about what that means. He knows that this hurts Kamala Harris's chances of getting elected. Doesn't matter, he's not gonna cut off the weapons, he's gonna keep it flowing. He knows that Netanyahu has no interest in a ceasefire, yet he lied to all of us multiple times with his BS statements about, Israel's agreed to a ceasefire. Israel's agreed to a ceasefire, they're gonna sign it, everything's great. And then of course, that was all BS. Okay, he knows. He's having these conversations behind the scenes. My point to you is, he's not a benevolent leader, okay? He's not someone who's actually doing everything he can to ensure that there's peace in the Middle East. He continues to funnel the weapons to Israel. Just last week, they announced an additional $8.2 billion in weapons.
8.7.
8.7, apologies, thank you for the clarification.
The $500 million that could have gone to help Americans.
Who cares about Americans?
No, we don't have any money, sorry, we don't have any money for Americans. That's why we can't do paid family leave, we can't do anything that you need but that 500 million is just a rounding error. We just forgot. And does it really matter 8.2 versus 8.7? But I want to say something. Why are you having shouting matches with Netanyahu? Like if I was giving someone 26 million, let alone $26 billion, I wouldn't need to shout at all. All I would say is, you're going to do as I tell you. Otherwise, I'm not sending you the money. What's the complicated part? What do you need to shout for? Instead, he's like, please listen to me. And Netanyahu was like, shut up, you loser, and send the money quicker, literally. Later, there's a quote in there about how Netanyahu was furious that Biden wasn't sending the money quickly enough because he's entitled to all of our money as quickly as he wants it.
Biden is literally a career politician. His entire career for like the last 50 years has been as a politician. And in the end, this is his legacy, getting dog walked by a foreign leader who's committing war crimes.
Woof, woof.
All right, so by the way, the other thing that you should know, especially as America has been struggling to get past inflation and everyone is upset about the economic situation here, Israel's planning on bombing Iran's oil fields. I've talked about this on the show before this week, and it's important to let you know. It's already translating to higher, basically, ExxonMobil is up in the stock market. I mean, everyone knows that the price of oil, meaning the price that you pay at the gas pump, the price you pay for goods and services, all of that is gonna spike because of this.
Yeah.
So not only are you funding Israel's war, you're also going to pay a lot more for gas and goods and services because of the war. So congratulations, you're welcome. Your government working for you.
Yeah, so see, that's the amazing part, guys. This is how much money in politics controls everything because, so now Biden knows that he's like, this is the US interest. He states it publicly. We want you to do a ceasefire. We want you to send in humanitarian assistance, etc. Don't do a broader regional war. And then Netanyahu slaps him around publicly, goes, of course I'm not gonna listen to Biden. Send me the money. And so we're losing US interests as stated by Joe Biden. The chance of Donald Trump winning is much higher if there's a big war and gas prices go up right before the election. And Biden's been personally humiliated over and over internationally. But all of that will not move him. Only the money moves him. So as long as the political donations keep coming in from AIPAC, Biden's like, humiliate me publicly, humiliate America, take all of our money, and let Trump win. Trump, like Biden says, Trump is a threat to democracy. We might lose democracy completely. And he's like, oh, AIPAC sent me money? Yeah, give away American democracy on top.
Dude, I don't, you're 81. Like your political career is coming to an end.
Yeah, maybe he doesn't know that because he's got dementia. No, Joe Biden, you're a pathetic, impotent fool. And Politico even said the word impotent.
Yeah, they did. I was impressed that they used that word. All right, so let's move on a little bit. So look, despite obviously acknowledging what the reality is behind the scenes, Biden has continued to bend the knee to Netanyahu, even as Netanyahu has now engaged in a broader regional war. I want to be clear, we're already at war, guys. Like, there is no debate or discussion about whether there's gonna be a regional war. There's a regional war, okay? And we are very much involved. And so the following Israel's attacks in Lebanon and Iran's military response this week, the Biden administration is settling for limiting Israel's response rather than discouraging it entirely, according to two administration officials. While officials in Biden's administration insist that they're doing everything they can to ease tensions, to quell tensions, to prevent a broader war, which we're already in. We're still also simultaneously bolstering our military presence in the region in order to provide additional defense for Israel. And yesterday, Biden said that he was not supportive of Israel bombing Iran's nuclear facilities, but today did not rule out hitting their oil fields. Let's take a look.
Sir. Would you support Israel striking Iran's oil facilities, sir?
We're in discussion of that. I think that would be a little, anyway.
Oh my God. All right, Cenk, take it away.
Yeah, no, he's handing the election to Trump if the gas skyrockets. Like maybe Kamala Harris pulls it out anyway, although we're gonna tell you later in the show, she's hanging on by a thread in the swing states by about 1 point in half the swing states. But Biden's like, let's roll the dice. I don't know, maybe he wants Kamala Harris to lose so he can say, oh, I would have won, I would have won, right?
Yeah.
Because he's super bitter about it.
He really
He's
is.
never let it go. And he doesn't like Kamala Harris, he's never liked Kamala Harris. He's super bitter that he's not the candidate. So maybe he thinks it's a twofer, and that, and maybe Israel will take care of Hunter from now on. Like the Ukrainians were amateurs at this. I wouldn't be surprised if Hunter all of a sudden became an Israeli gas expert and and a huge artist in Israel. By the way, I don't know who bought Hunter Biden's art at $500,000 a pop.
What do you mean? It was such good art.
Okay.
Totally worth it.
All right. Anyway, so and do you think the whole country watches the Young Turks? I wish they did, right? A lot of people watch this, but definitely not the whole country. Do you think they're going to know in mainstream media why the price of gas went up? Do you think that the undecided voters are going to be like, oh no, I looked into it, even though I can't tell who Donald Trump is and Kamala Harris is, and I don't know anything about politics, but I delved into this issue to find out that it was actually Netanyahu's fault. And
No. It is Netanyahu's fault with Biden like clapping for him like a trained seal.
But even if but you're right, Anna, because even if it was, hey, you dove into the issue, what you would find out is that it was Biden's fault. And Biden is the Democratic president, and Kamala Harris is his vice president. So you'd say, oh, the Democrats didn't stand up for us. They made our gas prices higher.
Yep.
They already took money from us, our taxes, to give to Israel to start the war. And by the way, the more Israel attacks, the more money we send them. So think about the message that sends us, that sends Israel. They think, well, when we were just occupying the Palestinians and oppressing them, we were only getting $4 billion a year. But now that we started slaughtering them, we're getting $26 billion. we've created a perfect incentive for Israel to slaughter more Muslims. So they're now going into Lebanon, Syria, Yemen, Iran, and they're saying, oh, guess what they're gonna say next? Well, now this is a much bigger war. We need more money. So they're gonna take that money, you're gonna pay higher prices at the gas pump, you're gonna do all of this, and Donald Trump might come back into office, but don't worry, Joe Biden got campaign donations from AIPAC, so you're good. Over $11 million in bribes just even before this campaign.
Yep.
So, but mainstream media hasn't figured it out at all. They're like, but there's nothing Joe Biden could do. Even in these good articles, interesting articles from Washington Post and Politico, not once in these gigantic articles detailing every little nook and cranny did they mention that Joe Biden has leverage that he could use against Israel. That's the money we're giving them. But everybody in Washington, all the reporters and all the politicians assume we don't have a choice. That's not even an option. Whatever Israel asks for, we must give it to them. So what else? They're like, he can't do anything. The poor guy, Joe Biden, can't do anything because you don't have a choice. As Americans, you must finance Israel.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.